Wow, Vasiliy Lomachenko's pops wanted him to pull out of the TEOFIMO fight before the fight took place. And we're going to talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. We definitely working. Sign up for ESPN Plus. They got a great UFC fight coming up this weekend. Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Rest in peace to Papa Nurmagomedov, his father. He's had a lot to deal with this year, but he's back in action. That should be a great fight. If you want to get the ESPN Plus pay-per-view, use my link. It does help the channel continue to grow in a phenomenal way when you guys click on that link. And ESPN Plus, they got a ton of original content, docuseries, documentaries, etc. for your viewing pleasure. Now, Lomachenko's pops wanted him to pull out of the fight entirely versus Teofimo Lopez. This young hotshot, now star, you know. And ESPN, they had a interview, which I talked about. They had an interview with Lomachenko's manager, and Lomachenko's manager was saying that they wanted him to pull out, which is very intriguing stuff. And they're now claiming that Lomachenko entered the fight with an injury, a shoulder injury, similar to Pacquiao making excuses after the fact versus his loss with Floyd Mayweather after 5 years of debate, debacle, and quarreling. Pacquiao was reduced to losing the fight, looking bad, landing 71 punches, I think it was, and making an excuse that in my fight with Floyd, my shoulder it give out on me when in training camp, And now you're seeing Lomachenko do the same thing. And old media, they're not going to say anything about this. They're not going to hold Lomachenko to no standard. And it's crazy how they build you up and build you up and build you up again. And they'll build you up saying everything you do right. But when it doesn't go your way, it's like, oh, Lomachenko should move back down. Oh, Lomachenko, he fought a guy that was too big. Oh, in a rematch, he'll do this. Oh, it was his shoulder. But before the fight, it was Teofimo's a trash talker, and Loma's going to shut his mouth. It was Teofimo Sr., he's out of his mind. He's the new Angel Garcia. It was, I'm going to make this kid pay and punish him for his words. Now it's just a heap of excuses. But in this whole article, one of the most intriguing things is they're now claiming that Lomachenko's dad wanted him to pull out of the whole ordeal, right? And they're saying that it says Lomachenko's previously had surgery on his right shoulder May 2018 after another bad performance versus Jorge Linares where he was dropped. Or when I say bad, I guess bad for what Lomachenko's standards were. He did win the fight via stoppage, but it was a close fight, and people thought that Lomachenko, was going to have a tough time at lightweight because it wasn't the typical Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters, Jason Sosa, Mariaga, or something like that. Klimas said that this surgery was the result, he just had a surgery on the shoulder, was the result of a preexisting ailment and an injury Lomachenko suffered during the second round of his decision loss to Teofimo. Loma was very cautious. He wasn't active. You're not going to win a fight against a young, strong, bigger kid and fight like that. Says right here, let's try to get it. It says, we took him to the doctor 6 weeks before the fight. Lomachenko was given an injection, and he alerted VADA and the Nevada State Athletic Commission. It says, quote, "We lost 1 week of training. Now, it's just marred with excuse on top of excuse. This is insane to me. We lost 1 week of training because Lomachenko had to get this injection because the doctor forbid him to do much for a week after the injection. Klimas added a few weeks later the pain flared up during a sparring session. At that juncture, Lomachenko was given another injection. So he had 2 injections, lethal injection, Ice Cube. And his father and trainer, Anatoly, quote, look at this, wanted out of the fight. Lomachenko wanted no parts of Teofimo because he felt he wasn't in the condition to fight Teofimo, which is ironic because they have a show documenting this fight, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And, of course, I guess you're going to have a poker face, but Lomachenko said, I'm healthy, and he was talking his talk. Now, all of a sudden, it's these built-in excuses, and Lomachenko's dad wanted him out of the fight. Listen, I have no pity. This looks pathetic. There's no mercy. Teofimo won. He talked his talk, and he backed it up. Star-making performance by the young, strapping Teofimo. Bad, bad, bad look for Vasyl Lomachenko and his team to go out like this. This is a man who has 400 amateur fights, losing to a guy who has the same amount of pro fights with a different level of opposition. He talked his talk, and then he came out and he backed up his talk. And then now Lomachenko is reduced to this. You're reduced to complaining and saying you wanted out of the fight. Well, 3 words for you guys. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. In my opinion, if you step in the ring, a sport as dangerous as boxing, you know that this is the difference between, truthfully, life and death. You know, every time you step in the ring, if you're not fit to fight, right, then you don't fight. I remember Danny Garcia versus Zab Judah. He pulled out of the fight. People said he was chicken and ducking. But Danny Garcia, he wasn't in, like, he had a rib injury in sparring. Let me see if I'll pull it up. You know, I told you I've been in boxing for a while. Postponed Zab Judah. I guess pull out's not necessarily a great word, but he pulled out of the date. Here it is, Bleacher Report. ESPN. We'll just go with them. See, I know my boxing. I've been in the game for years and made me an animal. There's rules to this, and I wrote you a manual. Danny Garcia, Zab Judah, now April 27th. This was way back January 27, 2013. Some of you guys may not have even been watching boxing. Unified junior welterweight title as Danny Garcia hurt his rib in training and has postponed his February 9th title defense against former title holder. So Danny was a champion, and Danny got hurt in sparring and hurt his rib. So instead of fighting on February 9th, they had to move it back to April. It says, quote, I have a rib injury. It's postponed, Garcia told ESPN in a text message. Garcia was due to make his 3rd title defense. The fight was set to take place Barclays. Main event, Showtime televised. The card will be postponed to April 27th, blah, blah, blah. So Danny Garcia knew that important fight against a Brooklynite in Brooklyn, the Barclays, Danny Garcia and his team and leadership had the wherewithal to say, hey, I'm fighting a tough veteran who's from Brooklyn, in Brooklyn. I got hurt in camp, which slowed my camp up, and the doctor said I have to rest, or, you know, I'm going to lose a week or 2, 3, whatever, rest and recovery, and I can't train like I need to. So our February 9th fight is now going to happen at a later date. So Danny Garcia knew the implications as a true champion that he needed to, you know, get better, or he was going to lose precious time. And ultimately, as the story goes, Danny Garcia, he did fight Zab Judah. You know, he fought Zab Judah and he beat him. Exhibit A. It was a close fight. You know, he was tested in that fight. People forget about that. Shout out to Zab. Zab definitely gave him a run for his money in the later rounds. You know, he had a nasty cut in his forehead. You know, surprisingly, this is a side note, the cut never really affected Danny Garcia's career. You know what I'm saying? It was a weird split, like kind of like Badu Jack. And it is, you know, that's good for Danny that he didn't have like bad scar tissue. That's a crazy picture that we're looking at. You know, it's crazy he didn't have any permanent scar tissue or whatever. Or I never seen that. I think he has a scar, but it never came back to haunt him. That's great for Danny Garcia. But the moral of the story is this: Danny Garcia is a champion, and he's fighting a tough veteran, you know, and he knew that he wasn't going to have a proper camp. So this is what you do. You pull out and postpone the fight because you can't work. So I don't want to hear after the fact all these different things about Loma wasn't ready. No, he wasn't ready. You know, it just sounds crazy. And the same people in old media and reporters and boxing fans who are quick to chastise Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder for an alleged suit costume 45-pound excuse that he allegedly made, which I still haven't heard or seen a video of him saying this, but he allegedly said this, and people ridiculed Deontay Wilder, and they said that Deontay Wilder, he was making excuses, and he was just looking for excuses to justify the loss, and he's a poor sport, this, that, and the third. This is what they said. This is what they said when it came to Deontay Wilder. Now, all of a sudden, Lomachenko and his team, they're coming out with all the excuses. Oh, we wanted out of the fight. You know, TEOFIMO's too big. We're truly featherweights. You know, you see Lomachenko's team and old media creating all of these excuses, built-in excuses. It can never just be like, you look at Ward Kovalev. When a fighter with the complexion for the protection loses, right, it can never just be, oh, that person got bested. It's like Andre Ward cheated in the first fight. You know, he paid off the judges. It's because Kovalev is not from America, you know, and it was a home cooking, even though Ward was fighting and dogging Kovalev to the body, you know. And then Dre says, okay, y'all didn't think I won? Let's do a rematch. Did a rematch, and he stops Kovalev convincingly. They said it was low blows, you know. So it's funny that certain fighters, it's always an excuse. It's a built-in excuse. And ironically enough, I told you in my opinion that I thought Lomachenko was another Kovalev in the sense of he's a front runner. And now, based on these excuses, it doesn't look like I was far off. Why are you now telling us that Lomachenko's dad wanted out of the fight? What is that? What purpose does that serve? He wanted out of the fight, but Lomachenko didn't listen. And it says, look at this. This is interesting as well. Vasyl Lomachenko said he would not withdraw from the fight, right? You see this on the screen? Vasyl Lomachenko said he would not withdraw from the fight. He made it clear to his team that if he dropped out, he would retire. So right then and there, every excuse is null and void. Lomachenko was so arrogant, so cocky and pompous that he thought, if this is true, I don't care if it's true or not. It could be a fabricated injury to justify it or not. But let's say hypothetically, let's play the devil's advocate and say this is true. He thought so highly of his own skill set that he thought he was going to go into drag TEOFIMO into deep waters and drown him. So that's your fault. Any way you slice it, this is completely and totally your fault. If your dad told you to pull out of the fight, this is your blood, this is your trainer, this is someone who knows you, who, you know, created you, and he's telling you to pull out of the fight, like postpone it, and Lomachenko feels, you know, I'm so God tier that I don't need to pull out. I could beat this dude with one shoulder. Then that's still your fault. Or you're making it up and lying and saying your shoulder hurt and all this stuff to justify your poor performance. Because after a year plus of TEOFIMO chasing you, he got the better of you and made you look human. TEOFIMO landed more punches on Lomachenko in the 12th round than anybody in Lomachenko's pro career. This kid is a superstar. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow because the Lopez family, they're brash. They were trash talking. They've been hunting you down. But I'm not trying to hear all these excuses, bro. And I the double standards are awful in the sport of boxing. Like I said, when Wilder says what he felt like a zombie, or someone spiked his punch or his suit, or he allegedly says these things, people jump down Wilder's throat. Oh, no excuses. Come on, man. Wilder said he had the flu in the fight. Oh, no. And he knocked out Luis Ortiz, said he had the flu. But let Triple G say his bad performance versus Gabe Rosado or not looking as good, he said he had the flu. He said in the Derevchenko fight he had the flu. he said that's why he looked like that, because he was really ill, you know. Kell Brook, he was the flu. Billy Joe Saunders looked real bad versus Corceras. They said he had the flu. So it's funny how certain fighters, and look for the common denominator, new media, certain fighters can have all the excuses in the world, but then these same type of excuses are never met with nothing but criticism when other people say them. So just look at that, the complexion for the protection. Bottom line is, none of this stuff you're saying will retrieve your belts and get your belts back. Teofimo said he's going to 140, so if you want to rematch him, you probably have to do it up there. He has the belts. He has the juice right now. He's the one that's lit, and you lost. I seen Lomachenko's team said something, if he's really bad, then he'll do a rematch. Look, if it's possible, he would like to have the rematch. If they are so tough, this sounds like loser talk to me. Egis Klimas said, quote, if they are so tough, are they willing to come back and do that? Do the rematch. So what do you mean if they're so tough? He was a 23-year-old kid who Egis Klimas on the Blood, Sweat, and Tears said, oh, he doesn't know what type of fight he's gotten himself into. And they talk boastful, and now it's like, oh, you can't beat me twice. You know, I hate when people do stuff like this. The poor sportsmanship is off the charts. When people, like they say you can't beat them, then you beat them, and you're like, oh, but you didn't kill me though. What? Like, they keep moving the goalposts. First the person said you couldn't beat him, and then now it's like, you didn't knock me down though, but you couldn't kill me. I'm still here. I hate those people that continue to talk after they've been bested. Like, just sit down, talking about you didn't kill me though, but you said the person wasn't capable of even beating you. Sad business. This is definitely a hit to the invincibility aura of Lomachenko. Let me know how you guys perceive it, but Lomachenko wanted out of the fight, guys, and that's a tough pill to swallow. He lost bad if this is coming out. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.